Hello and welcome to another video. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about a thread of information that I keep seeing on YouTube these days. So yeah, I'm a small-time content creator on YouTube. Basically, the point of doing this is just to give a little bit of information and learnings from myself back to those who are trying to follow what I did, and that is to learn software development and crack into the industry. And this applies to people who are in school or self-taught, though I went the self-taught route. But I'm seeing time and time again these videos on YouTube now from other creators with bigger followings who have more experience in the industry than I do, who have interviews with people who've been in the industry more than I have or for longer than I have, who've held different positions from all the way from junior engineer all the way up to engineering managers. And the information is consistent. So what I've been telling you in the past videos is exactly aligned with what these people are telling you about the market now. So if you are looking to get a job, your first job in software engineering, specifically your first job, it's not like it was a couple years ago, in COVID and pre-COVID. If you knew HTML, CSS, JavaScript, chances are that would be enough to get your foot in the door at a company, and then you would progress from there. It's simply not the case anymore. So these days, the pool of software developers is now so large because so many people have become interested in it. There have been a ton of videos on social media, YouTube, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc., showing you, oh, look at my awesome day in the life of a software developer. I go to the office at 9:30, I take a coffee break at 10, and then I go and have lunch at 11:15 until 2. And then I go and have a sleep in a little nap pod. And then I do like half an hour of work. It's absolute garbage. I wouldn't want to work like that because it's not a job. But there are so many people who tell you this is what tech is. And guess what? You get to chill all day and make six figures. With people coming in with entry-level offers around 100K, 120K, etc. And maybe that was the case, and maybe it still is the case in some companies. But it has piqued the interest of so many people because obviously we all want to earn the most money we can for the least amount of effort that we can. So we've got more people studying computer science now than ever in university and college. We have more people teaching themselves coding than ever, and we have great resources online, like I did, the Odin Project, we have Free Code Academy, and many more. And so now we have more people saying, I want a slice of that, and so I'm going to go and become it. And they call themselves a software developer, irrespective of their actual competence and skill in the field. People have studied, built a couple projects, have a few, they've cloned a few repos, they've maybe built a few tutorials, and they think that that's enough to now call themselves a software engineer. They start applying for jobs, right? It's not an industry that's regulated by some governing body, like becoming a doctor or an architect, etc. Anyone can call themselves a software engineer. So now, yes, the number of jobs have been growing, but the number of people calling them, my screen's not big enough, the number of people calling them software developers is getting even bigger. And more of these people are wanting to get their first job. So the competition is higher now than it has ever been. Now, let's combine that with the layoffs as well. And you have a lot of people who have real world experience who are now looking for work as well. So the competition, again, is even greater. And then you could even say that many companies are not hiring as many juniors as they used to because of either trying to cut costs or that company is becoming more mature and changing in the way that its coding practices and applications being developed, although having juniors is always a good idea for future prosperity of that application, or it's AI. And maybe AI is playing a role in that because you can get more out of a mid or senior level with AI than you would a mid and senior level with a junior, most likely. However, it's really shooting the industry in the foot because you're not gonna have a new wave of talent coming in who are then going to progress to become the next mids and the next seniors. So in 5-10 years, we're gonna have a really big shortage of people with those skill sets. And I'm not so sure that AI is going to be able to replace those people entirely. So that's building the picture of a very, very competitive market. And you could even throw in there the mass layoffs that came as a result of cheap debt pre-COVID and post-COVID with interest rates going up, meaning, we've got to tighten the purse strings, we're going to lay off a bunch of people. So there's been a lot of flux in the industry. But in that time, the flux has been both ways, in both companies downsizing, but people who are not yet engineers wanting to get into it. So you can see that the market has become very competitive. Now, I would argue, though, that there is still a skill shortage, because I think in the past there was definitely a skill shortage, but if you went and learned the core 3 HTML, CSS, JavaScript, now you have skill and you're desirable enough. You can add enough value to a company, they're willing to invest in you and also let you grow and learn on the job, simply because there weren't enough people that knew JavaScript, HTML, CSS to fill those roles. So they would just take in what they could get. And then the most skilled developers would obviously get the better positions at the better companies. But now that's not the case. That the bar has been moved up. So you need to know more than that as well. And along comes AI. It also changes the fabric of the whole job hunting process as well, and what value a new person to a company is going to add. They expect more from you now than just the bare basics. And that's where you need to stand out. So there is probably still a skill shortage out there where companies are still looking for people with the skills that they need. It's just the bar for skills has gone up a little bit. Does this make it impossible for you as someone who's not got any real world experience to get your first job? No, it just means that you have to do a bit more work. You have to get yourself to that bar so that you can satisfy those skills that are required. Now, those skills are going to vary by job title. Obviously, the lower the title, the lower that bar is going to be. So for juniors, you're going to have to look at job postings and see what they expect. But generally, those job postings are asking for more than they actually expect. That's kind of a best case scenario. However, now picture this: you are a recruiter and you're trying to find someone for a role, and you get 400 people applying for that role. And let's remember that most of these people, or a good number of them, are probably people calling themselves software engineers, but they really don't have the skill set. They do not meet the bar. But you do, because you've been studying really hard. You've learned your fundamentals. You've not been using AI too much as a crutch, and you've actually been internalizing all the things you've had to do. So you can go and write your own code without AI. You just use AI to learn and make you move a little bit faster when you need to. You've built a flagship project, which is impressive, not too complex, but solves a real world problem, something that you came up with and figured out, and even better, has a real world user or two out there as well. You've done all these things. You are now operating above most of your peers. The next thing you need to do is market those skills. How is that recruiter who has to filter 400 applications going to know that you are the one that is worth getting into the next step? And that's where you have to be more proactive. It's not just a technical shortage now. You don't just understanding the technical side of things and how to code is not enough to get your first job. You now need to be more proactive in social or professional networking, reaching out to recruiters, reaching out to developers in companies that you are interested in, focusing on quality. Which companies would you like to work for? Which companies are hiring juniors? Okay, narrow that down and get that intersection. Now you know, okay, I'm going to focus on this company and see what they do. Understand the company, understand what they do, understand what their problems are. Maybe do some informational interviews with people who work at that company, so you get a really good sense of what they are looking for. Write a cover letter that shows that you understand this, and also plug your flagship project. And then hit up the recruiter and drop them a line of a truthful, kind of a sincere message that explains why you think you're a good candidate for the role. And then you hopefully will get filtered up to the top of the pile and considered and moved into the next steps. Another way to do it is to, ideally if you have an internship under your belt and you've developed good relationships with the people that you worked with, you then use them as a referral, either in a company that they're at, that you're at together, or at a new company that they have moved to. That's exactly how I got a job. Or you network with people on LinkedIn. Put an image, put a profile picture in your LinkedIn profile. Fill it out. Put your history in there, your work history. Put your goals in there so recruiters who come along or founders of small companies can come along and learn a bit more about you. It's not just a blank page. It's a companion to your resume. Do these things. Reach out to people on LinkedIn who are working in the tech stack that you are specializing in. That's how I got my second job. I reached out to a bunch of people working in Ruby on Rails. One of them happened to be a co-founder of a small company who later hired me when I put a LinkedIn post on saying, hey, I'm looking for a job in this tech stack. He said, hey, guess what? I'm looking for someone to come and work in this. The rest is history. Okay, and then you can do cold call applications as well. But the one cold application that I made, which was without any prior social or professional networking, not knowing anyone at the company, I included a video with it saying, hey, my name is Ben. This is a bit about me. This is a bit about my software engineering background. This is a bit about my interests. Here's a bit about my project. Keep it short, 5 minutes. But these are the kinds of things that make you stand out. You have to market yourself, right? I know that the tech world generally is there's a conception that everybody is sort of insular and a kind of INTJ personality type where they're not very social, but they can think. Well, I'm sorry, but you have to show that you can be social as well and communicate well. Doesn't mean you have to be the life of the party, but you have to show that you can communicate and that you understand other people's needs or problems. Because not communicating, you got to understand what the problem is of a recruiter, of a founder who's looking for someone. They want to know who you are. If you just give them a brief resume, they're not going to know who you are. So you're not actually understanding their problem. By communicating who you are well, you are solving a problem for them because they get more of you, they understand more about you, and then they can make a good decision on figuring out whether or not you might be the right fit for the company. These are just some of the things that you need to do now to get your first job. If you're not doing them and all you are doing is learning the technical skills, building a couple projects, and then shotgunning your resume out to every single job posting that comes along, chances are you're not going to get far without any flagship project or professional networking under your belt to help you along. I just don't think you're going to be successful. I do not recommend that approach whatsoever. The approach I'm recommending is more work. It's harder, yes it is, but that's because the bar is higher. And this will really filter out the people who are serious about becoming software engineers, not just because of the YouTube and TikTok and Instagram videos of the past saying, hey, come get a 6-figure salary for no work, right? That's going to attract the wrong kind of people. And you've got to show that you're not that kind of person. And you've got to show that you are the kind of person who actually enjoys software engineering, who enjoys solving hard problems and sitting at their computer and figuring this stuff out. That's how you show these things off. That's how you show that you are going to be a good bet in a hire and help the recruiters and founders of small companies filter you to the top and help you stand out from your competition. Right, that's just my Saturday insights. Good luck. If you have any questions about approaches and recommendations and want my insight of someone who's gone through it and is very happy with their transition and their switch into this career, I would love to give you my thoughts on that. I just want to help people as much as I can because I know this isn't easy, but I know that there is a formula that you can apply because I've applied it and I know it bloody works. So I'm trying to give that back to you. So yeah, let me know, ask away in the comments below. Have a good one. See you in the next video.